Good afternoon to all, and welcome again to Tell Me Over Coffee. Surprise, surprise, our guest is back. Today, our guest is bicoastal American actor currently based in Brooklyn, New York, after having spent 15 years in Los Angeles. He trained at important schools such as the Actors Gang, Sonderly Workshop, Keith Johnston, Groundlings, West Side Comedy Theater, fencing, Carla Oberg at the LA Valley College. He produced and starred in Off-Broadway Showcase with a little help, It's John Belushi, just before the pandemic hit, as a complementing feature documentary, Jack Made a Play About John, tracking his journey mounting his bicoastal passion project currently on the festival circuit. Most recently, he has been part of the Hollywood Fringe Festivals in Now, 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 a play he has also helped produce. He is the co-founder of We Make Movies New York, an offshoot of the popular Los Angeles film collective and service provider We Make Movies, and was nominated as Best Cast North America for the Zoom Gatekeeper in 2021 at the Alternative Film Festival. Our guest of today is also well experienced in theater, stand-up comedy, commercials, as well as in cartoon voices. He is also a baritone, fluent in Spanish, does improv, physical comedy, fencing, and sword fighting. Zach ZULLO, welcome.
Hi, thanks, Yassmine. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming back. I mean, we had our chat in, I think it was July or something like that, or August, but we had problems with connections that went down, and it was really, really bad. So I am so happy that we were able to make it back again together. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
How did your passion for acting start? Anyone inspired you in your family or in film?
It started, I guess it started in elementary school when these little plays would come through and present themselves. And I remember just feeling such admiration for the actors on the stage. And I kind of wanted to be looked at that way. Like I wanted to be admired like that. I know that sounds weird and selfish, but like as a little kid, it was like I just loved these people up on stage and I wanted to be loved like that. And then in high school, I started doing plays as a sophomore in high school, and I was in The Odd Couple as Murray the Cop as a junior in high school. And a couple of times in a couple of different scenes, there was a little bit, as it goes on stage in theater, things go differently than they're scripted. And I had a couple of moments where I just improvised on stage to make the scene work and got like laughter throughout the house, just brought the house down and did it by accident. I didn't have a craft back then. And I fell in love with acting probably my junior year of high school.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Well, when you do have passion and especially when you're in the middle of something and that something in a way goes a little bit wrong and you need to save the whole thing, you just do whatever it takes, and it can go wrong, but it can go very well, and for you, it did go very, very well. Anyone in your family in this industry?
I have some ancillary or some extended family in the industry, I'm Italian, and a lot of my family comes from Brooklyn. So you'll have people that you call cousins who aren't necessarily cousins, but they're close with the family. Although my real cousin Michael is a world class jazz pianist. He's a band leader. He travels the world playing exclusive parties. Sometimes he sits on Broadway. So I guess there is some artistic I mean, there's artistic value in my family, but there's a couple of people who have actually gone after it as a career.
Mm-hmm. Family support is very important in this industry. Have you always had your family support?
It's crazy, Yasmin. I can't tell you. Like, I would not be where I am sitting here without the love and support from my dad, my mom, my brother, my sister-in-law, my girlfriend. Like they believe in me, and they're happy that I'm following my passion. I'm following my bliss.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had from like moment one where I was like, I'm doing this. They're so proud of me, and they're proud not only that I've been doing it, but that I have every once in a while I pop up and they're like, oh, there he is. He's doing something, and it's people love it and people embrace his work. So yeah, I've had a lot of family support. I don't think you could do it. You know, you couldn't do this without support, whether it be from a family that you were born into or a family that you create, as many artists do as well.
True. I'm sure, like many artists and myself, we have, like you said, family that you create, not only because you have a more of an intimate relationship, because if it's a wife or a girlfriend or a husband or companion, but friends who become very, very close, friends who believe in you, friends that you meet in your path of becoming an actor. Like I say, I mean, I do have, and I'm very happy and proud to say that I do have a few couch friends around Spain that have allowed me to be able to do my work as an actress when I started, and you know, the beginnings are very hard and difficult, and when you have to go somewhere where you have to pay yourself a hotel and everything, and you know, it's not that easy when you're starting. And I have created that type of family where I always say, if I ever, no, not if I ever, when I get my awards, I will have to thank them first.
I love it. I love it. When I get my awards, I
Yeah,
love it.
not if I ever know. When I get them, apart from my parents, obviously, because they gave me life and principles, and always told me to follow my dreams and what I thought best for myself. They are the second ones I feel that I am obliged to thank, because without them, it would have been very, very hard. And I mean, I read not long ago, I read that George Clooney not long ago thanked his four or five friends that really helped him as couch friends to be able to proceed and pursue his career as an actor. And well, he was really, really, really nice with them afterwards. But it is true, we do make a family, which is not a blood family in this industry. And I find that's very, very important. Who you surround yourself with, that is very important. You do have people who will try to step on you.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful who you become very close to. But you do have a lot of people who are willing to help you, even in the industry, who belong to in the industry. And that's important. I think it's very important. And it's very important not to forget where we start and where we come from.
Well,
That's very
I
important.
gotta say, like, the kindness of the people around me who've believed in me. I've got a friend, David Svengali, out in Los Angeles, and he's a tech guy. He does graphic design for shows. He's really like a one-man wrecking crew. Right now,
Mhm.
he's one of the stage managers at the Magic Castle in Los Angeles in Hollywood, and he has been in my corner every step of the way, to the point where like I've had some amazing experiences because this guy literally recommended me to something and was like, trust me, you know, like his word held weight. And he was like, Jack Zullo. And then all of a sudden I'm working with like legends of television comedy,
Mhm.
and they view me in a certain light that is like they've heard what I am, and that's how they view me. And then that's how I'm allowed to behave. I think a lot of times, to your point, when we surround ourselves with people who believe in us, the way we believe in ourselves, it helps to create an environment where we can succeed in and we can continue on. Because as you said, you called couch friends. I believe you mean like places I could crash on the couch if need be.
True.
Those people, like them believing in us and them like having their worlds filled up because they're able to kind of live a little bit through what we're doing because they've got a 9-to-5 job or they've got a family that they've chosen that route as compared to this band of misfits that we are, this like world traveling band of artists that could meet at any bar at any time and link up and connect. There's nothing as important as that.
True. It is true. I mean, I feel the same way you feel. You were talking about your friend David, but I have my ex-boss. If it weren't for him, that he would allow me I would get paid that day that I was not working. He would pay me anyways because he wanted me to go do my auditions, and I would go and do my auditions and come back. And he was my boss. I was working for him, and he was. I mean, we worked. I was a salesperson. It had nothing to do with this industry. But like you said, he believed in my talent from the very beginning, and still supports me today. And he tells me, I mean, with my last short film that we did for the European Commission of the Railway for the 2021 sustainable transportation using the train. He told me that he was when I sent him the link, he told me he was so proud of me and that he loved the job I did, and, just to keep on, and hoping that one day I will send him an invitation for my premiere in the Goyas or whatever. And I said, oh, that'd be great.
Right. And let me tell you, like every time someone's just like, just don't forget me when you're famous, I'm like, yeah. I will not.
True.
Like you are now like in my head. Like thank you so much. I've had landlords come see my shows. I mean, it's again, like the artist, whether they be a novelist, a painter, an actor, a writer, a chemist, a doctor, like, because there's art in the sciences as well. There's art in professional sports. Art is really the heartbeat and soul of humanity. It keeps us going. It gives us something to live for. Like I like you said, we were talking about movies that are coming out, and like you and I are excited for some movies, not excited for other movies. And it's a point of conversation. It's a point of connection.
Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about that at the end.
Sure.
So you've worked in TV and film, both quite different. Which one do you enjoy most?
Well, in TV, it's a lot like theater. So I enjoy that aspect of doing TV, but a lot of times when I'm shooting something and producing something, I'm producing it more like film. Okay. In other words, it's single camera usually. I've shot some multicam stuff, but usually it's single camera just for budgetary reasons. Yeah. And I love being able to explore the same scene over and over again, where it's like, all right, let's my favorite thing to do is like, all right, let's shoot this as a series where we wind up shooting a scene and then we go back to one, the camera's still rolling, which you could do now with digital, and we just shoot right away. And it allows you to discover different aspects and give different point of views on the material, so that the editor in the editing room is like, oh, this one fits. I like the way this pops, or I like the way he moved in this scene. So I like that about film, shooting single camera film. But then multi-camera, I get to be bigger and like more expressive, and that's kind of my forte. In fact, since the very beginning, people are always trying to dial me down.
Yeah. Acting, screenwriting, producing, or directing, which one is your favorite and why?
The beast is acting. I love acting because I'm exploring humanity. I'm exploring character. I'm exploring behavior. And every time I explore the behavior of a character, I am learning more about myself. And I don't think you could ever truly know yourself. I don't know if we could ever truly know ourselves, because we have a perspective staring out of our eyes as compared to like the whole picture. So I don't know if we could ever like truly know ourselves, but to be able to understand my behavior because, you know, somewhere down the line, I read or saw a production of Mice and Men, and I was like, oh my God, I get it. So like working as an actor to me is very fulfilling. I'll add that as a director, helping actors discover themselves and helping actors discover something and kind of just helping actors get out of their own way so that they could present the material is something that I enjoy doing as well.
That's great. Out of all of your projects, which one is your favorite and why?
It's got to be With a Little Help. It's John Belushi. Back in 2006, I had like a moment of inspiration that nobody had ever really done a poignant piece of work on his life. So I got a book and I started researching. He was somebody that I was familiar with when I was younger, as the guy on SNL that I liked, but where is he? You know, like how come he's not around anymore? And obviously I grew older and I found out that he, you know, died in 1982. I did a deep dive. I did tons of research, character research, tons of writing, tons of like pushing my career in more of an improvisation way, getting up on stage, doing improv, being on teams, studying at theaters to create something that when I first created it, it was not the project I wanted it to be. And then I broke it down and I reinvented it. And in 2012, I had a narrative of John Belushi's life from like 1967 through 1979. So you kind of caught that like 10-year or 12-year overnight sensation. Mm-hmm. And it's a live show. I initially wrote it as a feature film. And when I didn't have an avenue to get that produced, I turned it into a live stage show with a 5-piece band and at first, and then a 4-piece band. I sing with the band. We play songs from John's life, from the time period. And it's so satisfying. That was what I put up in December of 2019. It was like a 3-week run off Broadway that I was hoping would generate some interest in investors. And, 3 weeks is a short run to, like you have to have something going for 6 months here in New York for people to start paying attention.
Would you call it a musical?
I would call it a dramedy with music, really.
Dramedy with music.
A dramedy with music. So, people have seen it and they say, Jack, for a play about one of the funniest people in the American zeitgeist, comics of the late 20th century, it's not really a funny play. It has funny moments, but it's not a funny play. And it's because it's a story about a human being with its comedy and tragedy. So I would say it's a dramedy with music.
Okay. When you write a story, are your characters faceless, or do you create them according to the actors that you would like to perform these characters?
When I write a story, usually I'm writing a story with friends in mind. So they usually have faces. So, for example, I did something called Nontourage, which is a little web pilot that I'm like shopping around trying to get like money for. Mm-hmm. And I just had a couple of different people, a guy named Dennis Hurley, who's an amazing actor and comic out of Boston. I had an idea for this guy, Mark, someone I partnered up with on an earlier web pilot. So when I wrote, I had them in mind. And then when the actual shooting of it came to pass, I went up having other people involved that kind of opened my horizons on who the characters could be. But yes, I usually have a face in mind of actors who I want to play the role, whether that be a famous person or whether that be like a friend of mine who's an actor.
Yeah. Okay. We live in a multicultural, multi-religious, and multi-ethnicity world and industry. Would you say that we all have the same opportunities in this industry, not only character-wise and category, but also salary-wise?
I mean, I think the current state of the world speaks for itself in that regard. That I don't think all opportunities are equal.
Okay.
I don't think that that there are. I mean, I think we're moving towards that, and that's not to say we'll ever get there. But you have a demographic that seemingly runs a business, and who do they see and who do they network with? They see similar types of people, and I'm looking at you, old white men, and I know that I've met tons of people of various creeds, religions, genders, gender identifiers that are who are honestly have a story, and I think everyone's story, if they could get it made, has value. And you know, I'll say this: there's a lot of luck involved in the entertainment industry. There's a lot of being in the right place at the right time, being friends with the right person, being yourself, just kind of going on an instinct and going in a direction that takes you someplace. So there's a lot of luck involved. I would say, though, that at this point in time, we need more variety. We need more variety in storytelling. As I guess people would identify me as white. I don't identify as white. I identify as kind of like just generationally mixed a little bit. But I mean, I present as white. So that is the demographic that I am in, because that's basically what everyone sees me in. There are more stories to tell. That's why I was so happy to be a part of the Zoom Gatekeeper. It was an LGBTQ type project. It was giving voice to a part of the community whose voices, you know, have been relegated to the back seat for a very long time. And I was, you know, as a, I mean, I identify as pansexual. I identify as, you know, as somebody who sees beauty in everybody and sees love in everybody. But I felt that giving voice to, as part of that production, and giving voice to a different community, a specific community, I felt was great. And you know, we've been getting lots of attention and lots of accolades and love. So there's a market. I mean, I hate to break it down in capitalistic terms, but there's a market for these stories. There's money to be made.
Talking about multi-ethnicity, origins, etc. We up to date, we unfortunately not only they classify you in other industries, but in our industry, stereotypes are still at the top. For instance, I could say that maybe, this is my opinion, right? It's not something I read anywhere. It's my own opinion. I think that there's about maybe, okay, I don't want to exaggerate or whatever, but maybe 70% of the roles are given to white people, the good roles, right? And then we have the rest, I would even say an 80%. And then we have stereotypes. For instance, well, as I usually say, South Americans are always drug dealers. Russians are mafias, just like Italians. Russian women are usually prostitutes. Arabs are usually terrorists and things like that, right? Black people, they tend to have, now I've been seeing some series where they're starting to have other, you know, important roles, just like people were a bit surprised when Black Panther came out that everyone was Black except for one. I said, well, I don't see why you are surprised. We have so many films where there's not even a Black person in it. They're all white. So why be surprised? But for instance, I was really and very well surprised and very happy to see some months ago the news on Instagram by a casting director who usually does not post these things because obviously she's a casting director and she's not supposed to be, you know, pro one and not and against others. But I was happy to see and read and I talked to this person and I was really, really happy for him. We have an American actor of Arab and Muslim origins who is going to be portraying a superhero for Grendel, the series for Netflix, based on Dark Horse comic. He's going to be the first Muslim superhero in the industry. You know what he told me after thanking me for the support? He said, "I hope I will be to level to taking this responsibility of being the first Muslim superhero of the industry." And I told him, "You're going to be fine. Don't worry about that. You're an actor. You're not a Muslim actor. Your religion is yours. It has something to do with you, not with the world. It has to be with you and your inner you and your family and your friends. It doesn't have to do with your job. So you're going to do fine because you're an actor. It's just like you. I mean, whatever beliefs you have, be it religiously, be it cultural wise or politically wise, it has nothing to do with your job. You're an actor. You have to know how to separate these things. When you're working as an actor, you're an actor. At home, you can do whatever you want. You're at home. You're free. It's your house. You talk and you talk about what you want with who you want because it's your house. It's your private life. It has nothing to do. And although you're an actor, you're a great actor, you're a very important and famous actor, your private life has nothing to do with anyone else and it doesn't belong to anyone else. It only belongs to you. And people have to learn to respect that.
And I agree with that. I'll add on to it as well, is that our beliefs do inform our choices. And if a Muslim actor playing a superhero makes choices and presents a character that someone of a different faith could identify with, I mean, many of our root wants and beliefs have similar origins. And I don't just mean religiously, spiritually, because I like religion is a language of how, as my girlfriend is clarified to me, is like people's religion is their language of spirituality. And, you know, at the core of it, we are trying to say the same thing. Sure. I think. I am overwhelmed that there hasn't been a Muslim superhero. There is knowledge to be learned. One of the reasons, and one of the reasons why, you know, when I was in Spain and people would ask me, why did you learn Spanish? I said, because there are other things to learn outside of my culture that are expressed differently in another language. And if I'm thinking in another language and I'm speaking and I'm dreaming in another language, because once I'm immersed in you know, a Hispanic culture, I am thinking in Spanish, and I'm able to see the world just a little differently. I mean, there's only so far how we could shift over, even as an actor, even as somebody who is kind of, I was made malleable to a certain degree.
It's a way that it helps you understand. I mean, like you're saying, if just imagine you're portraying a character who is American but has been living in Spain for the past 20 years in Andalusia, and for God's sake, if you take your time to read the script, to know what the story is about, and you're going to be investigating a little bit to understand who your character is, where he comes from, where he's going, and what the whole thing is, why not get into that? Okay, we're not talking about, okay, because someone else could say, well, yeah, but if your role is a prostitute, you're going to go into one of these prostitute things and work there for a couple of days just to see how it is. Well, it depends. I know actors who have been going very deep in order to get into their character, because that's how they work and that's how they need it. I don't need it. I don't need to work in a prostitute just to know how a prostitute works, or how I'm supposed to be talking to a client who's passing by, and I need money, and I need for him to come with me and pay me. I don't need to go and work as a prostitute to know how this is going to feel. But maybe there will be other characters that I will need to do something or investigate a little bit more in order to be able to get in her shoes, to understand better who she is and why she's there. Talking about prostitutes, there is a thing that I've always wanted to do, and I once need to do it. I would love just to stop one of these girls and really ask her with a lot of respect, why nowadays that us women can work in anything, why out of all this are you still working in this?
Well, I mean, I think I could, from my perspective, somebody working in the sex trade views it as a viable service, views it as something that they enjoy doing sometimes. Like, I mean, there's human trafficking elements to the sex trade. There's other elements of people choose that life because they kind of fall into it, and they view their body as like an instrument. I mean, really. And that's similar. I mean, I say that, the two oldest professions are prostitution and servers, and they got together and made a union and they became actors. Is what I like to say.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, okay. In a way, it is true, because sometimes, it's not a really nice word to use, but we do sometimes prostitute ourselves when we accept certain jobs that maybe they're not paid as much as we're supposed to be paid. And so you really go down.
You were saying something about like stereotyping in casting, and I've been going out for I go out for mob characters every once in a while because I'm Italian, from New York, from Brooklyn, and like I just auditioned for an indie film as like a legendary mobster, and I would love to play that. Like I know it's stereotypical, for the Italian to be a mobster, but there's something so visceral about the person who kills people for a living, or the person who runs a criminal organization that on one hand is, taking money from a small business, but on the other hand, they're hobnobbing with the highfalutin life of politics and the local elites. And there's so in other words, there's like a lot of meat there for me, so I've done things where I'm involved in a project and I'm like, wait a second, I'm not getting paid and they're making me work. And like, I need to devote my time to other stuff, and I'm doing other things. So I can't do that. And I guess that gets to a certain point where you're in this business long enough and you really have to do art on your own terms. Otherwise it's not art.
True. We were talking about stereotypes, etc. I mean, stereotypes to religion or origins. But we still do have a lot of work to do, not only on that side, but still have a lot to do on male female characters. It's still the usual thing of saying, for instance, a guy who's 60 or 65, and the actress, she's around 35,
Right.
40. It's not so well seen that your boss, your CEO, is a lady who's about 50 something and you're 30. No, it's the reverse. I mean, it's the contrary. So these things still need to be changed. Like, for instance, usually, like you said, mobsters, psychopaths, sociopaths, all these people are normally portrayed by men. There are so many real stories of women who do this, and they don't give them these roles. They, but see, this is something that really, it blows my mind, because I always say, hey, hello, excuse me a second. It's just a job. It's a character. It's a role I'm playing. I know you guys want women as women, to still be the nice, lovely part of the human being, but it's a job. We're just doing our job. We are acting. And there are true women psychopaths. There are true women mobsters. There are true women who are the head of human trafficking. And us women think, how can you do this? You're a woman. Who
Right.
cares? She does it for money. She doesn't care.
It's funny. It's funny, the point that you're making. I view humanity as like a giant cargo ship. It really, like, to change direction takes a lot of energy and time. And as we see the studio heads who are whose positions are dominated by white males, when we start seeing women rising up the ranks, which we are, and we start seeing women rising up the ranks and having success and creating products that have mass appeal, we will start to see a change in the roles that are. Well, you were talking about women psychopath. I remember the movie Monster with Charlize Theron. That was such a beautiful view into desperation, and a view into somebody making choices because they felt like they had to. And those stories are interesting. Now, don't get me wrong, Frankie Bear's, Dune, that's coming out, even though that's a very masculine and Messiah related type story, where the white guy is going to save everybody. There's interest in there, but you're right. There are stories, like, I wouldn't say, like, let's redo a Hannibal Lecter story with a woman, and like make a woman Hannibal Lecter, but you could literally create a story, or there's, again, as you said, there's stories from history, limitless stories from history to source, that are public domain, that can be used as a great, I'm thinking of one right now. I'm not even going to say it because it's such a great story.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. But I've heard a lot about it. So, but yeah, and things, hopefully, things will be changing all this.
I think they are. It just fits and starts, Yassmine.
Yeah.
It's like, it's, again, like, we want, I mean, as human beings, our lives are so short that we want everything now. I think that there's a push and pull, obviously, in the culture war, but we are at this moment, like, pushing through and saying, no, we need more variety. Diversity is variety, and variety is healthy. True. And this fear of the other is an outdated classification of interhuman relationships, because we have, for all intents and purposes, in the Western world, unlimited supply of what we need. i.e. food, shelter, water. We are not necessarily providing that to everybody, but it's out there and we are trending towards that. The fear of the other taking your resources is no longer, right? We have resources enough to go around the world. And soon enough, we'll be out in our solar system mining other resources to share. So there's something to be said about the fear of the other, and how if we culturally could let our guard down a little bit more, be a little bit more vulnerable, and realize we're not going to be, we're not necessarily going to be robbed, hurt, killed, or pillaged, generally speaking, and then we could open up and introduce the unknown to our lives. It actually makes our lives much richer and fuller. The problem is, in my opinion, it's easy to try to do the status quo. This works. I know this works. This is how we're going to do it. But does it work though? And who does it work for is the question.
Yeah. True. How has COVID-19 affected your work-wise and personally?
Work-wise, I very early on in COVID took it upon myself to continue to perform. So as we were talking earlier, I started live streaming monologues every day. Every day I would live stream a monologue, 6 p.m. I was in LA, so 6 p.m. Los Angeles time, 9 p.m. or 5 p.m., whatever time it was. And every day I would choose a monologue that I always wanted to work on, that I just never did. And I would prepare. And come 5 o'clock, I would start streaming to my Facebook and my YouTube page, and I would perform it. If I was so far away from being ready to perform it, I would then, like over the last hour before I was supposed to perform, I would just start working on a song I always wanted to sing. So, and then I started live streaming improv shows with teams from all over the country. And I just kept working and kept networking and kept meeting people. And I shot a couple of things online. And then you mentioned the Hollywood Fringe Festival. I helped produce an online play that was performed over Zoom using Streamlabs OBS for our cues, our video cues, our sound cues. And we would perform a play live over Zoom that wound up getting into a bunch of fringe festivals. We won best live streamed performance, best live stream show, I think in Big Sky Film Fringe Festival, in the Calgary Fringe Festival, and then the Hollywood Fringe Festival as well. We won a producer's award, I believe. And so I kept up my art. I found now more than ever, I needed to perform. I needed to share that. And then personally, I was in New York City with my girlfriend when COVID shutdown took place. When the COVID shutdown took place in New York City, I thankfully was with Jennifer, and I was spending time. I was auditioning. I was doing stand-up comedy here, and it just happened while I was living with her. So we got to spend like 3-4 months together in a situation that, had we been 3,000 miles away, would have been very difficult. Yeah. So I got very lucky. I got COVID very early. I contracted COVID in March of 2020, and it took about 3 weeks to get over it. I did have to go to the emergency room briefly for my blood oxygen and my breathing had gone down. And then, honestly, and after that, it was really a great time for me because I had time to just like the world had stopped. So I had time to just do art. I drove back and forth across the country a number of times. I went to the Grand Canyon probably 3 times. I went to Joshua Tree. I went to Zion National Park a couple of times. So because I had gotten COVID early and had antibodies running through me, I felt safer than other people, and I was driving back and forth between Los Angeles and New York.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Really happy, because I mean, a lot of people had bad times, and others were really lucky and didn't have bad times. Not good times, but they didn't have those bad times. Oh, I got COVID at beginning of the year. And at the last week, I went through 3 weeks. The last week I had breathing problems, and I was just praying I didn't end up in the hospital. I did end up in the ER, but they sent me back home with medicines and things. And I was really, really scared to death that I was going to be intubated. I was going to be in there. I was going to stay there. It was just freaking scary, to be honest. It was just whatever. I don't even want to remember that anymore. Okay. Do you think that auditions are necessaries for professional actors, or do you consider that their reels, IMDb, and let's say cold readings via Zoom or whatever, or even in person, are enough?
It's funny. This is a great question, because selfishly, I want to just be like, I only accept offers now. I, I, right? Like, I just like, why am I auditioning for this 3-line scene?
I think you're not the only one.
Right. Like, you could just, it's like, you just do me a favor and Google Jack Zullo, and you pretty much could see everything I could do. And if it fits what you need, just cast me in it. You know, that said, in this day and age of being able to put something on tape, I'll say this, like, as a union actor, like, if we go into a studio and our audition takes more than 45 minutes, we start getting paid.
Lucky you guys. This doesn't happen in Spain.
Well, as a SAG actor, I think after 45 minutes, if it's past 45 minutes past your audition call, the clock starts ticking.
Oh, this doesn't happen here. No way.
And like, I've gotten like auditions that they're like, all right, we'd like you to put this on tape. We'd like it to be ready in 3 days. And it's 5 pages worth of material. And the expectation, at least here in the States, is if you're doing this tape, a self-tape at home, they want you off book. And I had something for a major studio. It's one of the biggest auditions I've had, that I literally had like multiple speeches and pages of dialogue, 5 pages of speeches and dialogue that needed to be done in a character accurate voice. Like, it was a character from the 1940s, and I had to sit there and, I could do, oh, gee, Pinocchio. I could do, like some like little quick, tidbits of this character's voice. But but to do dialogue and to do speeches and have it come out and sound even and have it sound authentic took hours and hours and hours of work. So, there's this, hey, listen, if I have to put in hours of work to get this right, I should be getting an hourly salary. Like, once I work on something, for a couple of hours, so I'm off book. But monetary compensation aside, I've done casting. Like, I've cast my own projects. It's not easy. But I got to tell you, many times I'm just like, all right, you know what? We don't have the right person that we thought we wanted for this. So we're going with this person. And it doesn't matter what gender. It doesn't matter what creed. It doesn't matter what ethnicity. And it works out great. And let me tell you, like, when I've switched up and I pivoted just because, all right, this is what I got. This is what I'm working with. People come up to me afterwards. They're like, who did your casting? It was brilliant. It was perfect. And I'm like, yeah, I was just desperate and I needed somebody, and that person was in the room, and they got it.
Well, I do agree with you in both things. One is, there's one thing that it really surprises me in the States. Your auditions of so many pages, we would consider them in Spain. You are auditioning for the whole scene, when that's not supposed to be an audition. You audition for maybe a couple of pages. That's it, not more than 2, because that's an audition. You're not shooting a scene.
Right.
And if I need to see if you are fit for the role, with those 2 pages as a max is enough for me. Apart from seeing your job, your previous job, right? all your work, and then I need to see if you're fit for this particular character. I don't need more than 2 pages. Why would I need 5 pages, monologues of dialogues, etc.? That doesn't work here. It doesn't work that here after 45 minutes, even if you're well, we don't have that SAG thing here. We have a similar thing, but it's not, we do pay for it. It's not as much as obviously as how much you guys pay for SAG-AFTRA in the States. It's much, much less, but it doesn't have the same benefits that you guys have. But even if we did, I doubt it that after minute 45 they're gonna start paying you for nothing. No way.
Well, but that's it. That's what it is. It's like you're doing you're doing work.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I love doing the work. The problem is I've worked so much for free. Like,
That's
as an
problem, yeah.
It's like, my girlfriend Jen and I discuss this all the time. It's like people in this industry are taken advantage of because we have a dream to work in entertainment. And for many years, people take advantage of you and they try to get you to work. And maybe this is a Western capitalist issue, but try to get as much free work or as much low paying work out of you before you stand up for yourself and be like, no, that's it. And then that seems to be like there's a changing of the guard. And then, people are like, well, this is how I had to do it. So that's what they wind up doing to the people who are coming up. It's almost, I call the entertainment industry, it's very real that it's a bit of a pyramid scheme in a sense that you're at the bottom and you're paying for classes, you're paying for.
Yeah, but I think this, Jack, I think this is just like, I just was going to change your name between J and Z of your last name. I think this is just like when people ask me, what method do you follow? I always respond, my own method. So I will get to where I'm supposed to be getting my way. It's not because I study, I do about 10, 20 to 0 masterclass per year that I'm going to get more work or less work. That's not true.
Right. It's not true. Like it's
going to work. It's going to work because it's
right.
Firstly, because it's your time. Firstly, that's one point. It's your time. Most people don't understand that, especially actors. It is your time. When your time comes, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and you will have to say no to projects because you don't have time. But that's when it's your time. Until that time arrives, it is true that only you and you alone have the right to choose if you work for free or not. And no one in the industry, out of the industry, has the right to say you're doing well or you're not doing well. You're doing right or not, or wrong doing this and accepting this. That's one thing. And the second thing, like you were saying, regarding auditions, I always say that apart from the talent of the person who is supposed to be doing the character, apart from the experience of this person, of this actor or actress, there has to be a feeling between the person who's going to be directing you and the whole team and that person who's going to be doing that character. Like you say, sometimes you just choose someone who was not even auditioning for that role because you liked what they did with the other one. And you said, okay, out of all these people who came, I only find that person fit for it. Oh yeah, but that person didn't audition for Samuel. I know he didn't audition for Samuel, but he is the only person who I find fit for the role.
I had during the audition process for the New York mounting of With a Little Help, It's John Belushi. Mm-hmm. Somebody recommended an actor to me. His name is Artie Brennan. He's hilarious, fun, interesting face, and then also a really good person. He came to the audition. I had him read for something, and this was like during, like, we were having a rehearsal, like rehearsals had started, and it was a 19-person cast. Mm-hmm. And I basically, he left the room. I looked at the director. I was like, that guy's great. And the director's like, yeah, I like him. And we walked outside and I was like, hey man, you're great. What are you doing for the next 2 hours? Could you stick around for rehearsal? And he was like, sure. Sure, yeah. And he kind of just rolled into an actors. It was an actors equity play. So he like literally showed up, auditioned, and like we could tell right there, like, listen, this guy knows what he's doing. And then that's the thing. If an actor knows what they're doing, like if an actor walks into the room and they know what they're doing, if you don't recognize that as a casting director, as a producer, or as a director, I don't know. Like, and that's the thing. Like, we assume that the director, the producer, the casting director, all are great at their job, and that doesn't necessarily happen all the
Well,
time.
I do agree with you, because it is true that we are lucky to have casting directors and directors who, at the time they are auditioning the actor or actress for the role, they are seeing beyond the role. They are seeing the actor. But it is true, on the contrary, we do have other professionals that they don't. They are just looking for the character for that role, and they are not seeing the actor, and they are missing a whole bunch.
Now, that said, like it happens where all of a sudden, like a year down the line, somebody hits me up and they're like, hey, you came in for this, and I got something else I'm looking at you for.
Yeah.
And you know what? To play a little devil's advocate, sometimes these casting directors are so overworked themselves that they don't have the bandwidth, the mental bandwidth to be like, all right, this person is a this type, and maybe I could use it. They're like, nope, I need to put this person right here, and that's all they are, because they don't have the time to even conceptualize it.
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. But fortunately, we are very fortunate that we do have many casting directors and many directors who still see beyond the character. They see the actor. And I think that's very important, because it is true that I've auditioned for roles and ended up doing other ones. So, and I was glad. I mean, as actors, we are happy to work. And well, hell,
I'm not happier than when I'm like,
when I'm
getting a paycheck and a script.
Oh yeah, I mean, when they tell me, hey, sorry, you're not going to be doing this role, we see you more in this other one, I say, hey, feel free. I mean, I'm happy. I'm going to be working. I don't care.
Right. Like, and that's the thing, like, as an actor, getting to break down a script, getting to go to the rehearsal process, getting to go to the table read, like, this is all like manna for our souls.
True. It is true. Do you believe in giving back to the industry, and how?
Well, I mean, right now, I guess I'm part of a group that gives back, that's giving back to the industry in a sense of people who are starting out making films, or people who are seasoned filmmakers who are getting, a better rate on services than they would be from other outlets. I try to give back in every way I can. Like, for example, I was a COVID compliance officer in a feature film earlier in the summer. And so I was testing people. I was checking people in. I was handing out personal protection equipment where necessary. And there was a bunch of like new first-time production assistants on this job. And every day I'd be taking them over the side and be like, hey, so like you guys interested in being a part of the film industry? Okay, cool. This is, this, and just kind of give them like little like tidbits and little like life hacks as far as like, so on a personal level, on an interpersonal level, but that I think we should all be doing that. We should all be giving back in all aspects of our lives. So on an interpersonal level, yes, I believe that we should be giving back to the people around us, even if it's like, it's a new DP, and you're like, hey man, I love working with you. You're great. If I could, give me your card. If I know of anybody who needs, a DP in your price range, I'll hit you up. So I'm always about that. I'm always about putting people together. But I guess that's just the way I'm built.
Yeah. No, good for you, and good for everyone who's around you, really. I think that we all start from the bottom, because even professionals who are born in artistic families, and you could say, some could say that they have it easier. I find it sometimes it's not that easier for them, because are always compared.
Right.
So no, I would prefer to start from the bottom, not knowing anyone, or if I know someone, but at least he's not a member of my family.
You know what? You know what? It's funny you say that, because people are like, wow, that person, he was, his parents were famous. It's like, that does not a
Yes,
career guarantee.
Yeah, no,
You know,
absolutely.
like I know I've worked with people and they were the non-famous sibling.
Yep.
I've worked with people, or I've seen people's journeys where, you see it like not firsthand, but you see it like play out in the media, where the son of this famous actor, dies of a drug overdose, and they never really were making money at this, and they never really were respected in their art, which whether that was justifiable or not, it's a sad story, but again, there's a lot of luck. I will say this, and this goes to anyone out there whose parents are famous, and you want to get involved in the business. The way I've seen it work for people is they start producing their own stuff, or they start producing first. Michael Douglas, Ben Stiller, John David Washington, all of them have producer credits before they started acting. So produce your own work. I mean, that goes for everybody in the industry. And as you well know, produce your own work. It'll keep you satiated.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have a friend actor of mine, and hopefully soon we will be able to say something. Our intention is to produce and make our first short film together in Morocco.
Ooh.
In 3 languages.
Sweet.
To be sent to film festivals, because, as you said, I mean, if there's 2 ways to work, either you have an offer, or you make yourself an offer. So,
right. Yeah.
What's the other way?
Yeah.
There's no other way.
Well, I'm an actor, a writer, and a filmmaker, and people are like, oh, what do you like doing better? I'm like, well, I write something and then I produce it so that I act in it.
True.
And like, people are like, well, they're like, well, then you didn't really earn it, or I don't know what but like, I don't know. It's like, oh, well, you produced. So with a little help, it's John Belushi. I produced myself. Yeah. I wanted to star as John Belushi. Like that was like my dream role. And to a certain degree, it's kind of still out there. I still have like this play that needs, obviously everything always needs to be rewritten. Writing is rewriting. But like once this COVID dies down, and once I moved into my Brooklyn apartment, I start writing pitch packages for a bunch of scripts that I have. And that play is one of them. And I mean, I'm still kind of young and handsome. I could still probably
absolutely.
Oh, thank you. With a little bit of makeup, or with a little bit of, decent de-aging camera-wise, I could play a 23-year-old who then grows up to be a 33-year-old. And as a 44-year-old actor, I have the life experience to jump into that role. So
absolutely. But I don't agree with what they told you, that you didn't earn that role. You did earn it, because you spent hours of your days, of your life, writing for that role. So you did earn it.
Well, I mean, no one's ever told me that I haven't earned anything, but actually, no, the people who've told me I haven't earned things, they're not in my life anymore. Like, I'm like, it's part of that original conversation about the people. Sometimes we have toxic people around us who haven't been successful at what they wanted to do, or gave up. That's the only way you could be unsuccessful at something, is to give up. And that doesn't mean you can't have success in other areas of your life. But, so without going into details, like, those people aren't in my life anymore, because there's a ton of people who love me and support me. But I mean, I guess the idea is like, I've gotten some amazing compliments on my work, right? And I've gotten some amazing compliments on my humanity. One of the compliments I got when I was producing With a Little Help is John Belushi was from the tech, my lighting designer and tech lead. He took me over. He was experienced in the New York stage scene for years and years and years. And he took me over maybe like 2 weeks into the run. He's like, Jack, I got to tell you something. I was like, what? I've seen people come and try to do what you do. And no one has ever done it like you. You know, you've come in here, you've written something, you're producing it, you're acting in it, you're the lead of the show, and you put the show on your shoulders for 2 hours every night. And he's like, and you're like nice about it. And you're like really respectful to everybody about it. And it was like the highest compliment I've ever been paid is that, like, listen, when I was editing in my girlfriend's apartment, when I was editing films because it's a multimedia show, so we shoot some, you know, live, we shoot some like not reenactments, but we scripted scenes of John's life, you know, backstage at Second City or, you know, at an apartment or in a bar or whatever. And then I edit them for the show, and I'm sitting there like pacing around, having trouble with Adobe Premiere, being like, you know, freaking out, but never was that projected upon other people. And that's the earning of it. Like that was the earning of me doing cartwheels across Theater 80 in the East Village of New York. Earning it is because I was sitting there and it wasn't my project. Yeah. Sure, I was like driving it, but we were doing it together. And there was no like, hey, listen, you work for me. You'll do as I say. I wasn't yelling at anybody. I was literally like just chill and calm about it. And when I had my moments, they were off on my own, you know, like.
But it's just like what you were saying about people, toxic people that are part of your life and things like that. I have a family member who was very dear to me, which she's my sister-in-law. And she's a very she's not in the industry. She's an architect. She's not in the industry at all. And she's a very quiet person, a very respectful person. She's very small and very skinny, and you see her so fragile that she usually says, if you're not going to make it easy for us, then you don't belong here. It's as simple as that.
Right.
So you only have one life. Don't make it hard for me, please. Because if you make it hard for me, you're going to make it hard for us. It's not going to be worth it then.
Right. We have one life to live. And I literally had like the realization just about a year ago, and it had been growing, that two people who were honestly like some of the closest people to me, they had this opinion of me that was so negative and so like sad and also disrespectful. And I was just like, oh my God, this is what you guys think about me? This is what you guys really think about me? You think I am this person? That's what your perception of who I am is?
That's really sad.
And that was like, that's it. Like I blocked their numbers. I blocked them on social media, and I just haven't talked to them again. And like, it hurt to lose something like that. But sometimes you have to take a look at the people you have close to you. They feed our narratives. Their energy feeds our narratives. And if you're sitting there and their energy is literally contrary to what you believe in yourself, obviously like a little like conflict is good. Like if you got something you want to call me out on, by all means call me out. I've been called out before. And if you call me out on something and it's justified, I will look into it, because you know what? We only get one shot at this. I want to be the best person I could be. I want to be the highest version of myself that I could possibly achieve. Like we can never meet our full potential. That's impossible. It's impossible to be everything that we could possibly be. There's just too much to do, too much to see, too many people to love, that we could ever be everything we could possibly be. And much respect to all of us who actually really kind of scrape that and get really close to it. It's difficult.
True.
I just need people who are around me, inspiring me to be the best I can be, not trying to take me down a peg and because of their own insecurities or insignificance in the world.
True. Do you think that platforms such as Netflix, HBO, Amazon Prime, etc., are the only future for our industry? Do you think that they will be taking over our theaters?
Well, I mean, I think that they already have. I mean, if you think about, we're only now starting to see that there are these conglomerates of media enterprises that own everything. Unfortunately, you see a name brand and you see Viacom, you're like, all right, that's Viacom. And then you see HBO and you're like, that's HBO. You see MTV and that's MTV, but it's all the same. So I always liken it to, you're hearing a commercial on the radio for a concert, right? And it's like, oh, Bruce Springsteen's in town. And then who owns Live Nation? Who's selling those tickets? And then who owns that venue? And do they own the radio station too? And then if they own the radio station and they own the ticket sales outlet and they own the venue, and then they're telling the radio station, all right, we're just going to run this commercial for a Bruce Springsteen concert. And I love the boss. And then all of a sudden, like 25 minutes later, it's like, we got a rock block coming up. We're going to start off with Bruce Springsteen, Dancing in the Dark. And all of a sudden, we're getting hit from every angle. So do I think that HBO, Netflix, Hulu, Stars, that's Disney. So if you're paying for Hulu and you're paying for Stars and you're paying for ESPN Plus and you're paying for Disney Plus, you're literally giving money to the same company in 4 different bill payments. I think the future of online streaming is there's many independent channels. There's many small channels that are still independent that aren't owned by the big boys, although those are getting scooped up as well. And if you could create projects that you can sell to these independent little channels while they're still independent and still marketing towards India, towards South America, towards, like as a Western culture, Spain has films that they could market out to other countries, and Spain is seen as like a viable culture that people are interested in. Same thing with the United States of America, like a B-rated movie here that goes straight to streaming might be in the theaters in India because of a couple of actors or actresses who had some celebrity at a certain time, and they're marketed as like, this guy used to be famous and he's in a movie now. So I think that with a little cunning, with a little sorting through the white noise of online streaming platforms, that independent filmmakers can find outlets. They can find self-distribution to get around HBO, Netflix, Amazon Prime. But, then eventually you want to be bought by them anyway, right?
Yeah, true. What advice could you give to those, or would you like to give to those who wish to start in this beautiful but uncertain industry?
I would say that all the things you think you should be doing, do them. So if you think you should be taking a dance class, go take a dance class. Go fail at a dance class for a year. If you think you should be taking sword fighting, go take sword fighting. You mentioned I do fencing and sword fighting. I have a little bit of sword fighting. If you put a sword in my hand and give me choreography, I know enough about sword fighting that I will look good doing it. And it's because I took a year and a half of fencing. Had I taken a year and a half of fencing in my 20s, I might now be, working because I was a stuntman who had acting chops, who all of a sudden is now, a Marvel lead, in a film. All the things you're inspired to do, when they say follow your bliss, follow it without hesitation. Jump into it. that is the advice I would give my 23-year-old self. You know, take a tap dancing class, take a singing class. That is the advice I would do, is to recklessly follow your inspiration.
Mm-hmm. All of these projects that you produce and shoot are only shot in the States, or have you any thoughts of producing and shooting in Europe in the near future?
Yeah, a friend of mine who I collaborate with, we wrote something like an apocalyptic, futuristic, sci-fi movie that we wanted to shoot in Rome. But it was really built. It could be shot anywhere. I mean, you just said Morocco, and I was like, oh, I would love to shoot in Morocco. Like, I mean, that's what drives, I think, all artists, is the adventurous spirit of the unknown. Part of being an actor, the whole idea was, well, I could be shooting something in the jungles of Southeast Asia. I could be shooting something on the desert, plains of the Sahara Desert. So I am open. I would love to shoot something in a foreign country, maybe in Mexico. That would be a nice, easy reach for me. But also, it's a curse and a gift that the United States of America is so vast and so big, and topographically is so diverse. So I could shoot in a desert. I could shoot in a rainforest. Even here on Long Island, there is a sunken rainforest that is, because it's below sea level, it is technically classified as a sunken forest, and it is tropical. But wouldn't it be great to go shoot in Brazil, or to go shoot in Argentina? I mean, I'm getting older, and I'm getting more curmudgeon-y and more like, this is what I know, and this is how I want to do it. And then there's the kid in me is always like, always keep your mind open, always strive to do things that make you uncomfortable. So yeah, I would love to produce something and act in something and write something for another country outside of this one, for sure.
Yeah, it'd be great. Okay, now let's see if this is a hard one for you. What are your favorite genres as a spectator, and which ones as an actor or filmmaker?
As a spectator, I gotta say, as a spectator, I have a diverse, because I'm in the industry, I have a diverse taste. If I could go to a movie and come out feeling inspired for greater things, that is my favorite movie to see, right? So that could be, I saw The Green Knight recently, and The Green Knight was good. It was a little weird, but there was one message in it that really, really landed on me, that I was like, oh, okay, this means something specifically to me. Those overarching, I like an overarching metaphor or theme for like humanity, is what I like as a spectator.
Genres, do you like drama? Do you like comedy? Do you like thrillers? Do you like
I like action adventure.
Okay.
Action adventure is my favorite. I would say my favorite genre as a spectator. And as a performer, I love dark comedy. I love really dark comedy because it really has to toe the line. I like playing stupid characters. I like playing stupid, funny characters who don't know they're funny. So, and then writing. If I'm writing, when I'm writing, I think I like trending towards action adventure, because I've been leaning towards, when I'm writing something, I'm like, wait, what would I want to see? What movies have I seen? Because you have to write what you know. So if I wanted to write a movie about, growing up, poor in the South Bronx in the 1960s, I don't know what my frame of reference is right now.
Mhm.
Obviously, to your earlier point, you go do the research, whether that be reading a book about it or multiple books about it, or
Mhm.
you go and you live that life. Like, so for Belushi, I literally investigated his life and what it was like to grow up and become a celebrity. And there was multiple outlets of doing that, including magazines, including books about his life, oral histories about his life. But so my favorite to play in, I love dark comedy. And then my favorite to write or to spectate is action adventure.
I mean, I like dark comedy too, because you get the best of both worlds, comedy and the darkness of all psychology.
Yeah.
Going back to things that we should be doing as actors, anything that we feel can give a plus to our career. We have a message from Davida de Monte, who says Jack is a good dancer.
Wait, who says that? I'm a good dancer? Oh, Jack
Davida
is
de
disco.
Monte.
Oh, yeah.
Davida de Monte says you're a good dancer. So, Davida, thank you for this. Now, what do you have to say, Jen?
A bunch of years back, I produced a play called Cocktails. That was it was in the Hollywood Fringe Festival, and it was based on like it's a form of improvisation called a Harold, which is basically a 3-act play but improvised. And I wound up setting it during like the late 1970s at a disco. And out of that, like one of my friends was like, "Oh my God, this character you're playing," because I had a big handlebar mustache. He's like, "This character that you're playing, like we got to go, just go record you dancing." So we did something that was called Jack is Disco, where I just danced to some random crazy song, and I just jam out in the middle of nowhere, like in public, in different places, and just do a song. And then during COVID, I did another one with Jennifer helped me do it. We did Jack is Disco, because disco never dies, no matter what anyone says. Like, disco is alive and well. Yeah. It's in the music that we hear all the time. Anything with a rhythm and beat, that you could like you shake to. So I have a couple of Jack is Discos out there on my, and it's always like it's always like I need to do more Jack is Discos, because they're kind of easy to do, like to just go out and dance to a song and then just go like, and usually it's like a top 40 hit popular song. Like, I guess last one was a Dua Lipa song, and the one before that was like a Daft Punk song. So yeah, anything that is like disco style, I love dancing to, and then recording me dancing like an idiot.
Well, at least now we know that, because I mean, thanks to Davida de Monte, who told us that you're a very good dancer.
Thank you, Davida.
If you could go back in time and forward, what would you tell your past you and your future you?
My past you, I would say, and again, it comes back to like follow your bliss and follow your inspiration. Mm-hmm. If you think if I all the things I thought I should have done, I wish I could tell myself to do them, without hesitation. Don't think about it. Don't overthink things. Just do them. Mm-hmm. I did a lot of, and I had, emotional blocks that I was working through. It's part of my reason for being an actor, again, is to discover what is going on behaviorally with me, but by proxy with the character I'm playing. I would say, hey, don't sweat the little things, man. You'll figure it out. Don't spend so much time grinding my gears on like, what does this mean? What does this mean? Because sometimes things don't mean anything. Sometimes the meanings that something has in our lives is the meaning that we attribute to it. And that's kind of subjective. And then for my future self, I'll say, you're welcome. You're welcome, buddy. I hope you're enjoying the fruits of my labor.
There you go. True, true, true. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. It's something that once someone asked me in your award how you call it, your award
Speech, your award
speech,
speech.
yeah, your award speech. Um, besides thanking, the usuals, who else would you thank? I said, I would thank myself for persevering and insisting and never giving up.
Well,
Huh.
I tell people something, and it's called paying respect to our future selves. In other words, like with any luck, down this timeline, there's an 80-year-old version of me. And depending what your thoughts on physics are and string theory, it's possible that that existence is happening simultaneously to us sitting here right now. And I always say, like, I want to pay respect to my future self, whether that be with the work I'm doing now, whether that be with me eating healthy, trying to eat as clean as possible and try to take care of my body. I see too many people who are elderly who can't walk. And
Yeah.
they can't walk because they really kind of, and it's not even necessarily, and I say this without judgment, I say it with observation, maybe they were spending all of their energy taking care of their children or their loved ones and not enough energy taking care of themselves, that now they're 75 and they need a double knee replacement. And then there's the 75-year-old person that I'm watching. I'm at the Grand Canyon, and they're with their hiking poles, and they're just going down the Grand Canyon because at a certain point in their life, whether consciously or unconsciously, they were paying respect to their future self. And who wouldn't want to be 75 years old and have health and have prosperity, that was set up by a younger version of themselves.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I always say that the day has 24 hours, and your life is divided, I think, in five. There's your time, there's your time with your couple, there's your time with your friends, there's your time with your family, and there's your time for work. And if you know how to organize your time, you have time for everyone,
Yeah.
even
And
yourself, and you
yeah,
are important. But there's this important thing. You always and it's not being selfish, but it's the only way that you can be well for everyone else. You have to come first always.
yeah, and that's the thing. And like people say, "Oh, that's selfish. That's selfish."
No, it's
No,
not.
it's the first thing they tell you in an airplane is if like your oxygen mask drops, get your oxygen mask on first, because
Before helping someone else. Yeah.
we cannot take care of anybody else
You
unless we're
can't take
taking
care of
care of
ourselves.
ourselves.
True. Absolutely. So the best for the last.
All right.
Here we go. Tell us about the creation and the meaning, the main reason of We Make Movies LA, and now We Make Movies New York. Can
Well,
anyone be part of it?
yes, We Make Movies is a very diverse, very inclusive group. We started in 2009 in Los Angeles, California, and it was started by a director, Sam Messman. Started by an editor, Joe Leonard, and an actress, and I always forget her name, but she was like part of the original, triumvirate who started We Make Movies. And it was basically they were tired of running into closed doors in the business. And again, like we discussed, these doors are closed, and sometimes it's arbitrary. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense why the door isn't opening. So they wanted to create a group where the entertainment industry, filmmakers could come together and collaborate and work together, and not have it be limited to writers or directors or or actors, but editors, directors of photography, hair and makeup, art department, like anyone and everyone who wanted to come hang out and have something to do on a Wednesday night, while you're trying to get famous, was the idea. And it wound up starting in, like once a month, there would be a workshop. And then that went to twice a month. And, some of the original, leadership members were coming out of pocket to pay for space. And in 2014, one of our members got a full year funded by Microsoft, where like Microsoft gave us a grant to cover all of our workshop space, and they wound up giving us like Surface Pros, because they were competing with the iPad at the time, so they wanted to kind of get into the artist community. So once that year ran out, and that funding went to that year, we turned more over to an NPR type model where membership would pay. Now you didn't have to pay. There's free membership at We Make Movies, and there's tiers of membership. So there's like a silver membership, there's a gold membership, and each of them are certain amounts of month that you wind up putting into the community. Every a certain amounts of dollars that you put into the community, and those dollars would pay for the upkeep of the website, the paying for the performance space, because we wound up doing 4 workshops a month. So every Wednesday we would get together. We'd either do a writer's lab, we do a performance lab, or we do a rough cut lab where we screen, rough versions of films coming out of post. And all the while it's able to create a dialogue, to collaborate, to meet people. I had a film that I'm actually going to be streaming onto a Facebook page next week, that I did a rough cut screening of it for the community, and a television, a TV composer, this guy, Kevin, came out, and he's like, "Hey man, I love your film. I want to score it." And I was like, "Listen, man, you're pretty major. You're pretty, great at what you do. And I don't know if I could fit you in the budget." He's like, "Hey man, we'll work out a number. We'll work out a number that's fair." I'm like, "All right, great." And like, because he saw my film screened and he wanted to score it, all of a sudden I had a professional grade TV composer doing the music to my 15-minute short film. It's that kind of environment, a supportive environment, an environment where people view me or view members as we view ourselves. So I walk in there, and at the time, I was either an attorney service messenger or driving for Uber, and no one viewed me as that. They viewed me as an actor and a writer and a filmmaker. And having that community, having those people that then you have within that community, you have people that you wind up gravitating towards and collaborating with. Those people wind up making the entertainment industry, especially in Los Angeles, a lot smaller and more manageable.
There's this comment that we have a casting director here in Barcelona. Her name is Lucy Lennox. I'm very, very fond of her. She's a great professional, and I think, and for me, she is one of the best casting directors I know, not only in Spain but also international. And she was doing a live masterclass the other day, and via Zoom, and she said something that I found very interesting, which was most actors think that a great percentage of them getting the job or not depends only on us, the casting directors. They think of themselves as unemployed who are looking for a job. And she said, and you are not. You are a service provider entrepreneur. This is your business, yourself. Your brand is yourself, and you are not an unemployed looking for a job. You have a service to provide, or you are the brand, and you have to know how to sell your own self. And you don't have to think of yourself as an unemployed person looking for a job. And until you don't understand that, and you don't understand that the job depends not only on you and your acting skills and your talent, it does not depend a 50% on the casting director. I always say myself that in an audition, 50% is you, and the other 50% is divided between the casting director, the production company, and the streaming, the platform, the online platform that's going to buy the project. But 150% depends on you. The rest depends on you.
All we could do is bring our hearts and souls, to the room. And again, like, if you, I don't want to break it down to be this simple, but really what I find is what we are selling is confidence. We are selling a certain level of confidence that the audience can feed off of and feel good about in their lives. And then it breaks it down to its very basic, element. But if you could bring that confidence in our work, like in the work that we do, in the person, the human being that we are, or who we are, you win right there. You win the room, whether it's for that role or it's another role, or it's just that, like, or watch this, Yassmine, you just made the casting director's day good, because they're like, oh God, thank God, this person just presented something and it was good and it was enjoyable. And I've been seeing people, come into this room day after day and hour after hour, and this person entertained me. And they might not have gotten the job, but it just made my day just a little bit better,
Well, that's another point. I usually say that when you're going to an audition, as much as you like people to know about your work and know what you've done, if you don't know the casting director, and if you do know the casting director, you should do a little bit of investigation and really, I mean, everyone once in a while likes to have a little tap on the shoulder and say, hey, great job you did with this film.
Yeah.
Everyone likes it. Everyone likes to be recognized for their job.
All we're looking for is,
that's it.
I say this in the world at large, all any human being is looking for is acknowledgement and engagement.
True.
And if it's positive, even better.
Yeah. So that is important. I always say, I mean, it's not about you, it's about us. It's a teamwork. Yeah. It's not about you, it's about us. It's always a teamwork. Even if it's just 3 people, it's still teamwork. Even if it's just a monologue, it's teamwork, because you have someone behind the camera.
And you have someone listening. You have
and
people.
There you go. And that's really, really important. I mean, I always say life does not start and end with you. There's a lot of people in between, and they are important also.
It's funny, the Actors Gang in California, in Los Angeles, that's a very good theater school for that. And I've studied a bunch of places, and at the Actors Gang, I did 3 sessions with them. Each session was like 10 weeks. So that's 30 weeks of studying their style, or the style as they call it. And it's very geared towards, like, you are not alone. And the audience is connected to you. And like this performance right here, there'll never be this performance ever again. Like, this performance is unique because you moved the way you moved on stage with the other actors. You spoke with the other actors in a way that you can never replicate. And the audience is comprised, even if you brought in the exact same audience, the show will be different. And it was very respectful of the fluidity of the art form, and very respectful of the world at large. So shout out to the Actors Gang. If you're ever in Los Angeles, California, you catch a show there, you'll be better for it.
Oh yeah, Definitely. How can we be part of We Make Movies New York or We Make Movies LA?
Well, actually, that's a great question. Right now, because we're still doing a lot of things online,
Mhm.
it's very easy. You could go to wemakemovies.org and slash about. You could sign up for a free membership, and this way you'd be able to see our events calendar. And then for our events calendar, you could just either sign up as an actor to read. You could, if you want to perform something, you could sign up as a performer. And then you could do that for if you go to www.wemakemovies.org/NYC, you could see what's coming up in the New York City market.
Mhm.
Wemakemovies.org is the LA market, but you could sign up, or you don't even have to sign up. You could just go and attend a Zoom meeting. I know October 27th, we're doing
Mhm.
another online lab. It's going to be a writer's lab where we read up to like 15 pages of each script and we cast it out. And then we give feedback to the writer, dependent on what they're looking for. And then we slap each other on the back and say, "Hey, man, good job. Keep up." You know, we have guidelines as far as like what our values are as a community.
Mhm.
And one of them is like, be direct, be kind. In other words, like, you could see my work and criticize it. Please critique it, but also be kind about it. Be supportive about it. Tell me what you want to see more of, what you didn't connect with, as compared to being quick and curt about things. So
Yeah,
we have a very supportive community, and we like it that way. This is a very tough business and is a very unforgiving business at
it
times.
is. It is. It
So
is.
if you checked out, I would say, because I'm going to be there, wemakemovies.org/NYC if you're in the New York market, or if you just want to see what we're about. But also the LA market, we have what's called a Make Your Feature competition. The finals are coming up on October 20th. They're going to be streamed online. It's going to be an online Zoom meeting, and we're giving away 3 grants of $25,000 each to a filmmaker, and then we're going to help produce a micro budgeted feature film for 3 filmmakers. So the finals is coming up on October 20th. That's also be streaming online.
That's great. But you said that most things are still being done online due to the situation.
Yeah.
But since the online business has been going so good for everyone, would you say after it will keep on going, or
I think so. I think so. I am one that, like, I'm on the fence because I'm like a bull raring to go. But I think that doing an online lab and then an in-person lab probably would be beneficial for the group as a whole. Because again, variety. So if we have people who are in the the New England market, or they're in the Western European market, or they're in India, and they want to pop in, then they're able to. And we have an international film festival that we've been running. We've been running a film festival since 2013. And in 2017, we reorganized the film festival to be, instead of a regional Hollywood, Los Angeles film festival, it became the We Make Movies International Film Festival. It's run by Whit Spurgeon and Eric Michael Kochmer. And we have amazing films from all around the world submitted every year. And we always have just a beautiful docket of films that we watch. And this year we live streamed 3 out of the 5 days. I actually live stream teched all of these films. And so, yeah, we invite the international community to join us at We Make Movies, because again, we have services that we provide, i.e., if you're producing something in the States and you need a director of photography, or you need a sound mixer, or you need someone who could do post-production, or you need to get permits in certain cities, or you need someone to help you with your contracts if you're doing union actors, we can help with that. So I think going forward, it would behoove any one of these groups, not just We Make Movies, to offer an online portion of their services for the community at large.
No, I find it's very interesting what you're saying, because it's like you say, it's not in this industry. We are not a local community. We are a global community. And nowadays, it's so easy to be global. For instance, like what you're saying, I find it so easy to be able to introduce to you guys production companies in Morocco that can help you out if you ever want to
Wow, that'd be
produce
great.
a film in Morocco. I can help you out with production companies in Spain, because I know people here. I know people in France. I know people in Italy. So it's global. We have to think our industry as a global industry,
Well,
not as a local one.
I was working with this. I wasn't working with her. I was doing a workshop with this writer, Lisa Ebersol, out in Los Angeles, and she's a beautiful writer, actress, just a complete talent. And she said, "Remember, you're a business. You should be marketing yourself. How many times a day do you see a commercial for a certain product? You see it over and over again, hammering. You should not feel limited in your marketing of yourself, and you should not feel limited in the markets that you could be in, because I got to tell you, if I started booking work in Western Europe, as like the New York guy, hey, I would not mind. I would love, give me a script, give me a paycheck, and I'm happy. I get to do my job. So I don't think we should limit ourselves to a region. That's why, I'm in New York and LA. I just got a text message from one of my friends. Oh, I got a text message from Whit. Cheers, Whit. You're an amazing human being, a great actor, a beautiful soul of a human being. So my pleasure. And that's what my purpose, and I believe people should like investigate this, but my purpose is to meet as many people, to work with as many people, to intimately connect with as many people as possible. So, having connections around the globe. Even if it's just like, hey, I'm in friggin' Barcelona, I'm running the marathon, let's go get coffee.
That's great. No, because that's the way it is. I have a friend now. He's originally Arabic, and he lives in the States, and he was now flying to Dubai. And I told him, if you ever drop by of Spain, just let me know where you are. If I'm there, we could have a coffee or have lunch and just talk, and just get to know each other more. Apart from, it's great to be able to meet people online, but it's so great if you're able to have a coffee with them for the first time and just meet in person and say, hey, I never thought this was, I met someone, I've been chatting over online discussions in Zoom and things like this, and who's an actor. And we finally got to meet 2 years later in Barcelona. I was there for work, and it was so cool just to have lunch with the person. And hey, it seems like I've known you forever. And now, we've been just chatting for work and helping each other out a little bit in this business, because that's what it's really about. It's not only of how much you can achieve, but also, this is my personal feeling, right? How much, it's not only about how much I can achieve, but also how much I can give.
Agreed. I honestly, if we could give relentlessly, our souls get filled up. And the more we're able to give, the more I think the universe provides us the means to give. So when I try to go to bed at night, I try to go to bed meditating on abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is, like, we talk about achievement and success. I've succeeded. Like, I've succeeded at becoming an actor and living my dream. And I've worked with heroes. I've met heroes of mine that I'm like, as a kid growing up, like, oh, you're like this comic who does all these voices. And now, like, you literally work with my friends, and I bump into you and talk to you every once in a while. One of my favorite shows growing up was Cheers. And I mentioned my friend David Svengali, And David Svengali got me involved at the Whitefire Theater in Sherman Oaks.
Mm-hmm.
And through the Whitefire Theater, I wound up meeting and working with Ken Levine and David Isaacs, who were the original writers and Emmy Award-winning writers for Cheers, also coming out of MASH. And I got to work with them so much so that I was at Cheers, the bar, the Bulls, I think Bull's Head Tavern, that was the basis or the inspiration for the Cheers bar in Boston, that I was sitting there having a drink, and I was able to, send a message to Ken saying, thank you so much for, the work we did together. It meant a lot to me. I didn't, mention how much I was a fan of Cheers, but this drink's for you, and I got to, I've had so much fun, and I'm having so much fun, and I know like it keeps getting better and better. All we have to do is adjust, grow, work hard, and just have faith.
No, it's true. I mean, that's how it really is. It's just a matter of I mean, if it weren't for people, you wouldn't be here. I mean, if it weren't for your parents, you wouldn't be here. I don't know, if it weren't for the whole world around you, we wouldn't be who we are.
We walk a path whose paving stones have been laid by those who came before us.
True.
I mean, there's no such thing as the self-made person. I believe that is a myth. There is, and there's people in the world who step on hands on their way to success, and there's people in the world who step on heads. And I choose to be someone who hopes to lend hands to help lift people up and to step on hands to be lifted up.
Me too. By the way, there's this, I don't know if you know that Davida is on fire today.
No.
So Davida says now that Jack Bob is having birthday at Pink's October 27th. He will buy you a chili dog if you show up.
My friend Bob Moret, who he actually he was at the West Side Comedy Theater with me, and then he wound up playing Bernie Sahlins in the 2016 version with a little help. It's John Belushi, which was called Live from the Grave. It's John Belushi. Every year he goes to Pink's Hot Dogs on his birthday for a hot dog. I've done it with him. I've been there with him on his birthday for Pink's Hot Dogs, and it's like, I don't know if you've ever been to Los Angeles. Pink's Hot Dog is a staple. It's one of those iconic places that you see in LA movies. You see them driving past Pink's. So Bob is always good for a hot dog on his birthday at Pink's, and maybe I'll join him this year. I don't know if I can because I'm in New York, but.
Well, you could join him online. I mean,
but I'll have to go. I'll be at Nathan's. I'll go to Nathan's in Coney Island, and I'll hop on the F train. I'll be at Nathan's, and while he's at Pink's, I'll be at Nathan's. I think that's the deal.
There you go. Okay, so Davida, you tell Bob that he'll be at Nathan's, and they can both have a Zoom, a chili dog Zoom.
A chili dog Zoom dog.
A chili dog Zoom for his birthday. Well, we have, unfortunately, time is giving up. We only have about 5 minutes 8 minutes really, for a last little chat. Do you want to add anything?
I mean, I just want to say thank you for having me. This has been great. And I know we were having some technical difficulties. I guess it was August.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's cooler now, at least by me. And this has been smooth and wonderful and inspiring. I feel grateful for the opportunity to talk about our craft, to talk about entertainment as a whole, to also share, about We Make Movies, because that's a group that someone, who sees this might be like, I'm going to Los Angeles. I need a group of filmmakers, like-minded filmmakers that I can link up with, and they could go, none of that is a social aspect too of network. I don't like using networking because networking has sometimes is a negative connotation, but collaborating with people and going to a bar after you see a script read and talking to the writer and, you know, giving them extra thoughts and you know, or someone needs to go to LA and study acting or come to New York and, you know, they want to know what theaters to go to see good little plays, little off Broadway nooks and crannies here, just off the Great White Way. So I don't know, sharing information, meeting new people. This has been a lot of fun.
It is. It is fun, and especially I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel so fulfilled when I am able to help someone. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a mom and a grandma, and maybe it's well really not really. I always like to help everyone ever since I was young. I mean, the last person was I have my cousin. She's a singer. She's also an actress and a presenter, and she decided, along with her sister, to create their own production company in London. It's called Southeastern, and they've started now to look for presenters and actors and young. And I have a very dear friend who is a Moroccan actress, very talented actress, who lives in Barcelona, and now she moved to London for a couple of months. And I told her, why don't you check out my friend's profile? I will send her your profile. And if you ever need an actress who speaks Spanish, Catalan, French, and English and Arabic, well, there you go. And it was so fulfilling to be able to connect them to. It was really great.
And you know, when we deal in hope, you know, like we deal in a lot of hope, you know, even in the product that we provide as an actor or a filmmaker, you know, again, it's about confidence or hope or connection, and even providing like that spark of hope of like, oh, when I get to London, I'll have a place that I could go, you know, stop in and be like, hey, I know you through so and so, and can you help me? And
absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
Yeah, and like
there's one thing I think that really for me sums the whole thing, is that when you say, hey, Yassmine, I got this, and thanks for presenting me Ali Bakawi. He's one of the producers that is called Both Film Produce Services in Tangiers. And I would tell you, my answer would be, your success is my success.
Right. Right. I tell people will thank me sometimes for whatever I you know, they perceive I've done. And I'm like, listen, you're thanking me for something, but remember, I'm a reflection of who you are in the world.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
If you weren't who you were, like, I wouldn't be able to do this for you. So I am just a representation and a mirror of who you are in the world. So when you're thanking me, for sure, I receive that and I'm grateful for it. And remember, the reason why that happened is because of who you are, you know, and I don't know. I think it's important to remind people that we all have value and we all have a gift. Don Quixote is like the first novel, and there was a theme that really stood out to me when I worked on that for a class, and is that every human being in the history of the world has one gift that they do better than anyone else, and it's our job as a human being to figure out what that gift is, and then to share it.
True, always. Well, guys, we've come to the end. This end, because I do hope, and I think that on the other side, on Jack's side, I think he feels the same. It is not going to be the only interview we're going to have. We will have many others, because now he's back to New York, so he's going to have to tell us all about these New York projects and
theater
all around. Great. So that will be our next interview, hopefully soon. We will let him work on it a little bit, and then we'll go back and have an interview with Jack. So, Jack, it's been a great pleasure sharing this afternoon with you at Tell Me Over Coffee, Cuéntamelo con un café, and letting us know a little bit more about you. Those who already know you, they know a little bit more. And those who did not know you now. I also wish to thank you all for following the interview and always being there, supporting culture. Life without it is quite boring. And if you want to follow Jack's career, you could do this on his social media, which I usually post along with the video in the YouTube channel and on my IGTV. And well, we will continue with the mysterious guest for the next day, which will be next Wednesday. I will post it the day before, so stay tuned to my social media. Take care, be responsible. Don't forget your mask where you need them. And don't forget that not everyone has their shots yet, so their vaccines. So please be very, very responsible and live your life responsibly and respectfully. And I think that Davide De Monte has a last message for you. Bob says, kick ass and take names.
That sounds like Bob. That's definitely a Bob quote.
So thank you, Davida, for being there, and say thank you to Bob for us. And we will be coming back very, very soon. So take care, you guys, and stay safe. Thank you. Thanks loads. Bye, Jack. Bye. Bye, everyone.